Welcome back to ModCon 2023. This, as we may have already announced, I can't tell yet because it's in the future, this is a pre-record. We're in the past. We're speaking to you from the past right now. And the reason for that is very simple. If you ever have seen any form of like Oscars ceremony or anything like that, you'll note that the really important people are often unavailable to pick up their trophies. And they have to be video called in from their palatial estate somewhere. I don't know where people's palatial estates are, but they're very, very nice. But first, let's go round in a clockwise manner. You know who I am. Samantha, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are here.
Yeah, well, I am now head of brand at Modiphius. And what that basically means is that I'm the marketing girly.
Short to the point. I like it. Fair enough. New face Jamie. Look at him.
Hello.
He's all happy and eager. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Jamie. I'm the newest project manager here, and I'm in charge of Cohors Cthulhu.
Excellent, which we are going to be talking about. And last but definitely not least, Danny.
Hello. Yes, I'm Danny. I'm one of the other project managers here, in charge of several things, including Dreams and Machines.
Cool. So yeah, as you may have gathered from the subtle hints there and the fact that it says so at the bottom of the screen, we are talking about the two new kids on the Modiphius block, Dreams and Machines and Cohors Cthulhu. So Dreams and Machines is obviously out there in the world. There's starter sets. Go get it. It's very good. And coming almost imminently is Cohors Cthulhu. So what we thought we'd do is we'd try and just like lift the hood a bit and look at these two new lines, which is a very cold business way of saying it. But basically, we're just going to have a nice chat about what we like about these games because, surprisingly, we all think they're really rather awesome. So we're going to start off with Dreams and Machines, and so Jamie may just sit and look a bit confused and pretty at this. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but that's good. We'll get some honest feedback here. So, Danny, for those people watching who have no idea, shame on them. Waggles fingers. What's the TLDR on Dreams and Machines?
Yes. I would say so. Dreams and Machines is our new post-apocalyptic, uplifting kind of sci-fi game. It is human colony far off into the galaxy. We've colonized other planets. We've colonized this planet of Vera Prime, built a super high-tech civilization where we all live in luxury. And we built a centralized AI to manage everything for us, so we could just sit back, relax.
How'd that work out?
Everything be fine. You know,
did that work out okay?
For a while it did. And then something happened, and something we never planned, we never predicted, we never expected. It got corrupted, and then we had a whole kill all humans situation. We had a big robot war. Not the one on like Dave and Bravo back in the day, different sort of robot war. With big
BBC, thank you. Some of us are old enough to remember that show.
Yeah. Don't take Philippa Forrester's name in vain. I'll have you.
We had a big like mech robot war, and then a lot of bombs were dropped, and we kind of pushed ourselves back. We damaged the builder, all these mechs stopped, went dormant, and then we fast forward 200 years, and we are now a thriving civilization with no centralized government. We all live in different sort of like faction-based communities and groups, and we're just kind of moving on,
getting on with stuff. Yeah. But the thing that I love is that, you know, that old world is still there, just kind of like being built around, and it's like you might end up with, you know, people building a settlement around an old mech or something, and it's just like, despite the fact that there is a very, very small risk it might just wake up one day and cause all sorts of problems. So yeah, if you've had a chance to check out the starter set, you will know how awesome this is and how much of the great art. You can see the cover of the Games Masters and the Players Guides here. Little sneak peek, they connect together. Is that what's a triptych with two? I only know what a triptych is. Is it
Duetic. I don't know.
Okay.
I made that up.
No, I'm going with it. You said it with confidence.
But it's actually 4 panels.
What?
Because it's also on the GM screen as well.
Okay.
So
there you go.
You've got the player's guide and
stick.
GM's guide, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. But
the players and the GM's guide are the first, like the front 2 panels, and then you've got the other like side panels as well.
Cool. Oh, excellent. Yeah. So these are available for pre-order right now, and obviously that means you can't look inside them, but we can because we done made them. So what we thought we'd do is skip to the I was going to say the meat of this meal. What you always look at the moment you pick up a new RPG book, what do you look at? You look at the characters. So we're going to dive through who these kind of weird and wonderful characters that we can meet in the world of Dreams and Machines. Oh, but of course, done a bit of a forget there. What's this fancy looking thing?
The slipcase edition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just realised as well, it's a pre-record. No one else can see the screen. So me being very vague and elusive is like, what am I looking at now? Is probably not the best way to do this. Yes, we are looking at the slipcase edition right now. Is this is going to be available at the same time as everything else, isn't it?
Yeah. So you basically we're going to slip the player's guide and the GM's guide in to this case. You see what I did there?
Nice.
It's
not just
but it's got a little bit more to it as well, hasn't it, Danny? It's got a huge map of the like fictional area that the starter set and the player's guide and stuff all takes place around. So it's like New Moss Grove and the surrounding areas. It's a bigger map than the GM's guide has in it. So if you want something to like really lay out on the table, chart whereabouts you're moving and use all the hexploration rules that are going to be in there as well, then that's the one to get, because you do get something a little bit extra for your money. But yeah, the cover looks absolutely beautiful. I'm genuinely obsessed with the artwork that's on this. Like, it is my desktop background on my work laptop.
Excellent.
Like, it is absolutely stunning. Wraps around the case.
And
And then
Curry and Abe, the two prime.
yeah, it is our kind of like, you know, viewpoint characters for the kind of meta plot that we're going to have running through the game and through the series, like over the next few years. And then it's going to have some of the usual deluxe features, like deluxe kind of finish and stuff that you expect from like a Modiphius collector's edition. So we've got some UV kind of spot varnish
in the future.
Spot varnish. It's in your future as ever. And we've got those icons at the top. You might not just be able to see it from the photo, but on the top you've got that kind of, it's going to be a nice black matte kind of finish on the paper, and then on the top of those printed on hopefully in a fairly kind of metallic finish as well, and spot varnished are all the kind of icons that you see for the game. So like spirit, momentum, threat, supply points, and
amazing
knowledge fragments.
There you go. See, we're all still learning how to play the game as well, so it's fine. But no, I think that's gorgeous. It's one of the most kind of I failed GCSE art, but it's more impressionistic than our normal stuff, isn't it? So I just like it's
very
a bit
different.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. We won't go into why I failed GCSE art. I had a bit of a row with my teacher, but that's fine. So, the inhabitants of New Musgrove and around that you might take up. Why? I guess this is the thing, like I said, you always do when you're the player. You always pick up the book and you like skip to that bit where you can see the full page art of the character type or the faction or the species or whatever it is that particular book has to offer. So the first group we have are the archivists, which, you know, it's not the most thrilling of names. So why would I want to be an archivist? I want to get out there in the field, surely.
Yeah, I mean, so the Archivists are one of the factions that you can play, essentially in terms of character creation, like you were kind of saying, one of the like origins or like species, races that you'd get, or kind of backgrounds that you might get from a different RPG. And the Archivists really are the kind of like technophiles of the setting. Like they basically believe that by like researching kind of like the old world lore of the, you know, what was going on and what kind of scientific advancements and stuff were being worked on before the big mech war, we might be able to get kind of humanity back to on an even keel, right? So they're the people who probably might give you quests to go and find stuff, and they can often be places where they're kind of, maybe they'll set up in like a tower, like an archivist's tower, bit like an old school like Wizard's Tower or something, right? And then a community will grow up around them, because the Archivists are pretty good with like tech or equipment, supplies and stuff like that. So they might get the water running or something like that. And so, you know, if you want to, within the setting, really delve into the kind of like what happened and the old school lore and stuff like that around the world, as well as just kind of having lots of cool gadgets to play around with, then Archivists are definitely the person for you.
Is it safe to say that the level, obviously, you know, the world's taken a setback because of this war, so it's like, these are the people who would know necessarily how the technology that survive works, rather than, I guess this just works, it's an old piece of tech, you know, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fair enough, the smarty bobs. So next, he says as he has a little frog in his throat. Next, the Dreamers, who, has to be said, are the most colourful looking ones. I think these bunch are probably the ones I would go for, personally. What do we know about the Dreamers, and why are they interesting to play?
I think on the face of them, they kind of have a sense of like secluded eco warriors, like people who have kind of turned against technology and want to live free of it and have ways and means to do so. And they're known as like potent adversaries. Like they can take down mechs even without kind of all that technology and weapons and stuff you might be able to salvage and Nivirians might have to hand. Right. But actually, the kind of a little bit of the truth about them really is that they come from scientists, like the kind of scientists who just around the beginning of the war decided to find secluded like places, hide out, but also just try and work with the world in a slightly more naturalistic way, but still with the principles of physics and the kind of knowledge of the scientific world to back them up. So they're incredibly good at like laying traps. They have some fantastic like equipment of their own, but it's not like high-techy equipment, but it is like, you know, just as deadly or just as efficient. And it's not really known very well by a lot of people, a lot of Avirans out in the world.
So they're more like kind of that idea of, you know, they would work with the forces of nature to do like that, build a river powered power plant rather than just like, hey, let's start burning some coal or some wood, that kind of thing. I get it. Cool. Okay. And I think we can then move on. But yeah, that's my stake so far in our party of four. I take the Dreamer because I just don't. I've always liked those kind of characters who they come with a little bit of not baggage, but you know, there's a learned lesson there already, and you can kind of lean back on that. Which for me, especially when I don't know or I'm coming new to a setting, it's really helpful to be like, well, you know, I used to be this scientific background, but now maybe trying something new. Speaking of Everans, and possibly my favourite bit of character art in recent years, this guy is awesome.
He's very happy chappy
with his big basket of fish. So he's had a good haul.
He's happy about it.
Exactly. So the planet we're set on is Avira Prime, is it safe to say that Avirans are therefore kind of the default in a way, or is that
yeah? They're like the humans of the like character options, right? The most versatile, but also the most welcoming, the most able to kind of put their hand towards anything, really. And obviously, like the most varied in terms of their backgrounds, from tiny hamlets to like a cave system in the mountains or something, or kind of living maybe in the shadow of one of the large old world cities that are kind of crumbling away.
So while you've got like your archivists up their tower and dreamers like doing their thing, these guys are just like, I've just got to get on with stuff, it's just kind
of that's why he's got a big basket of fish, because he's got to get on with it.
Exactly. I got fish, day sorted. But what are you thinking so far, Jamie, as someone who's not you've not been involved in Dreams and Machines, which is grabbing which would you choose to play so far?
I like the idea of being a science wizard, so the archivist sounds pretty good.
Fair enough.
When in my tower and shout at the kids getting on my lawn.
If it's a science wizard, you don't need to shout. You can have like a megaphone or like I don't know,
shout
just sprinklers connected to a car battery. It'll be fine.
I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
No, it's all fine. It's all fine. Speaking of water, that's a terrible segue.
It's a terrible segue.
But there we go.
What an amazing
rivers
segue.
Rivers are next. But yeah, what can we find out about the rivers?
Come on, Danny.
Yeah. So the rivers, we refer to the rivers as being like the lifeblood of Ivera, because the main continent that we've kind of centered the story on to start with is very littered with waterways. The rivers are born, live, die on the water on boats. They are the group of people that will transport you to and from where you need to go. They'll take you up to the banks of a mega city, go in and start scavenging, salvaging stuff, bring it back, trade it elsewhere. The rivers are the more safer route on the continent, because robots are electric, so water doesn't always kind of work well with that. So with the land being littered with these big dormant mechs, it's handy to have alternate routes, and they kind of the waterways are their homes, to the point where their family surname is the name of the boat that they live on, they work on.
That's cool.
And it's a full kind of not water world, but water-based community.
Not Waterworld, no. I mean, I have a soft spot for Waterworld, but not Waterworld. No.
We haven't got that license.
No.
It's not that bad.
No, exactly. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So they wouldn't be found in the settlements. They're if you want to be, your angsty loner, is this kind of like more of an appropriate fit?
Yeah, you could definitely play like an angsty loner river. You will find them in and around settlements. So a lot of settlements might be by a shoreline, so you'll always have like a dock area where they'll do their trading, picking up passengers and whatnot.
Okay.
But no, I like the idea of like an angsty loner river that just goes out on their little boat.
It's just a little coracle up and down the river.
Little boat. Little thing, comes back just annoyed all the time.
But yeah. And I believe this is the next one is the spears. Worth pointing out, spears are not about 1.5 foot shorter than everyone else. I just had to shrink the image to get the gigantic spear in. But yeah, already this looks pretty awesome to certain people, I'm sure. Tell me about spears, Danny.
Spears. So spears are my favourite. Just putting that out there. When we first did the initial like playtest in the internal stuff, I played a spear.
Okay.
I was the first one to die, but that's another story.
Someone's got to be. Someone has got to be the first.
Yeah. But spears are our kind of almost nomadic mech hunters of this world. They live in a very kind of family orientated group community, where everyone is part of the family. You're all one big family in essence. And they go out, they hunt mechs, they fight mechs. They have like a really kind of ingrained like code of conduct that they live by, with their own kind of motto, which is no one gets left behind. So no matter what, you are all on an equal footing with each other, whether you're born with a disability or anything that diminishes your ability to do something. They will always, you will always be level footed with everyone else because no one gets left behind.
Yeah.
It's a case of we need to get a prosthetic made by the archivist so that your ability to walk and to jump and to climb is the same as everyone else. Then they'll do that.
Yeah.
So everyone is equal in this group.
A very community, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And
they have massive electro spears. And
I was about to say, it's like presumably that's kind of an important part of their day-to-day lives and their culture, if that's literally their name. If the rivers are called rivers because they live on the rivers, presumably the spears quite big on their spears as well.
Yeah.
And it's worth pointing out as well that like those electro spears that you said, these bunch are almost the mech hunters. This spear is one of the most reliable ways to be able to do that. Obviously, if you're going up against a mech that's just woken up and you've got a stick or a hammer or indeed a basket of fish, then probably it's not as good as an electro spear. So having one of these guys on team is good. So yeah, I mean, we've got now a party. I'm a dreamer. Danny's clearly claimed spear. Jamie is a science wizard. Samantha, what flesh out our party? What are you picking?
Well, I guess I'll be a happy fisher then.
You don't have to
with my basket of fish.
We don't run that kind of game where someone feels they have to take that character. So I guess we need a healer, said in the same tone as I guess we need a guy with some fish. But okay.
To be fair, the point that you've managed to walk into is, I think that like if you want to play like a healer, like you could pick any of these origins and it will work. Like it's just a different way of framing it, or like how the character is. Archivist healers obviously are going to have all the whizzy tech that they found on their scavenging and excursions to find like good medical supplies. Dreamers are going to rub some paste on you and it will magically get better, that kind of thing, right? So either way works.
Exactly.
Everyone will just give you a fish.
Yeah,
variants will give you magical fish that can heal all ailments.
It's just like my mum. She'd be like, come on, have a nice square meal, everything will feel better.
Yeah, have a fish pie, everything will be fine.
But yeah, no, it's a very good point. It's like these are not like character classes in that sense of it. It is like these are the flavour you add to what you want to be. But yeah, so now. There's a slight redaction here. As you can see, Abe has intervened. We did have a campaign to talk about, because what good is having an amazing setting and fantastic characters and this brilliant world to explore if you can't then explore it in a campaign? And there is a campaign coming. However, there's nothing tangible to show you yet. So we're blaming it on Abe, basically. But Danny, what can you tell us about the upcoming Dreams and Machines campaign?
I don't know what I am allowed to say. I can say something. So I will say that obviously we have our core offering on pre-order now. So we have the Player's Guide, GM's Guide, GM's Toolkit, Slipcase Edition, dice and everything, which has the GM's Guide has an adventure in it.
Yep.
A really fun, cool adventure that can follow on from the starter set or played standalone, whichever you want to do. And then later this year we have some PDF adventures coming out as well. Some kind of little stories that we're weaving to help you kind of continue your adventures on from the Game Master's Guide and the stories you have and you're telling yourselves. But yeah, Q1 next year we have a full big chunky campaign book coming out that is part campaign, big adventure, part source book with more source material, setting material, equipment, talents and everything. And we get to explore in the campaign book without, again, too many spoilers, or any spoilers even, because we don't want to do that. We do get to explore one of the adversarial groups that you have already encountered several times, shall we say, throughout the current story.
Yeah, if you've played the start set, you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of explore this group in a lot more depth and detail.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be some robots. There's going to be some bad people. There might be a little bit of fighting and some moments.
And I think it's like, obviously we don't want to have it spoiled too much because that's the joy of it, and we'll obviously talk about it close to the thing. But I think it's we just wanted to make sure that people knew it was out there and it was coming, because that's always a nice thing when you're diving into this new setting. It's like, particularly at the start, if you're not super familiar with it, you're just finding the ropes, to have like a campaign which you can run lock stock, or you can take bits from, or treat it as a source book, like saying. It's so useful. And so yeah, if you're clamoring for more Dreams and Machines, good, I approve. And also it will be coming soon.
Yeah,
but there we go. So yeah, I think kind of that's like our whistle-stop tour of Dreams and Machines. Is there as an outsider, as the outsider of the room, Jamie, we're now going to ask you what you think. But it's like I think this is what's kind of interesting and this is something which is like a little glimpse behind the curtain of supposed professionalism, is that obviously we all chat about each other's projects all the time, and it's really interesting to see when you sit down and chat to someone who does something completely different from you, and to get their input. So it's like, I just think it's really interesting to see what Jamie makes of Dreams and Machines.
Yeah, no, I really like the concept and the setting. It's nice to have a sort of sci-fi setting that isn't grimdark like a lot of them. It's something very different. The art is very different as well. It sort of really matches it really nicely.
Yeah.
And it's much more. Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, which is a nice change to sci-fi settings a lot of the time.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the start set or any of that stuff, everything in all the books are all defaced by Carrie, who's the character that Samantha mentioned. So expect helpful hints, shall we say? But yeah, so let's go from there then, and let's move on next. It is Danny switches out from the hot seat, and now we push Jamie to the front with a pokey stick. Be like, it's your time in the spotlight now, sir.
Oh, no.
And we're going to talk about Cohors Cthulhu. Now, obviously, we had a session earlier today, of course, in the future, as I'm pre-recording this, but. Where we went through the entire next year of Acton Cthulhu, what's coming up, and we sat down and went through that. So if you're a fan of your Acton or your Cthulhu, or indeed both, you will have got like a pretty good look at that. Over the past year or so, we've sort of been teasing Cohors Cthulhu, and the time finally has come close where the Kickstarter is almost upon us. So what we thought is, seeing as we've managed to lock Jamie in his room, what we're going to do is we're going to run through some of the stuff that you'd find in that. Basically, the core books. We're going to do what we just did with Dreams and Machines. To be like, okay, what roles can I take on in this world, and what's the angle of the story that they provide. Let's get to that in a minute, and we'll jump in now with Cohors Cthulhu. So obviously the main part of Cohors coming to Kickstarter, currently very early October, is obviously a player's guide and a games master's guide. The good old reliable double act. Would you be able to give us like a brief summary of Cohors? What's the setting? What are we looking at here, Jamie? What's the back of the book pitch?
Yeah. So it's Roman Empire, about the 2nd century, on the edges of the empire, where it's a bit less known what's going on. There's a hidden war going on with various tribes and elder gods and things, sort of similar to Actung in a sense, where it's a secret war, but Cohors is more a hidden war. There's not a sort of big war going on. There's more sort of what's going on in the woods and behind back streets and things, and what are those cultists doing over there? So it's kind of it's a not a prequel, but it's a much earlier setting than Actung, but there is a lot of interconnection between them.
Yeah. So it's so like you said, if there's that shared DNA. So if you kind of like one, the other one is probably going to be up your street as well. Or if you ever thought Actung needed more Romans, then that's probably this is also the time. But yeah, what are we allowed to get any what sort of things are shared? Is it the overall thing, like the gods themselves are the same, these elder gods, or are there finer details to come?
Yeah, it's literally a shared universe. And so there are like meta plot connections there as well. There's a couple of characters that if you really look into it might kind of be quite similar, might show up. And of course all of the kind of typical mythos creatures and factions, they're all still there as well, because the kind of shared universe that it inhabits, the conflicts and the machinations between all those outer kind of world factions, I guess, have all been taking place for eons. So, we're seeing it in kind of pockets of time from a humanity's kind of perspective.
It's a blink of an eye to all those big old gribbly things beyond space and time.
Yeah. But so it's less pulpy than Actung Cthulhu, but more kind of like heroic historical. This one, in tone.
Yeah. Okay, so let's dive in then. So the what we're going to show now are the archetypes. These are unsurprisingly, the character archetypes that what you can play in Cohors Cthulhu, and there's a selection of them. We're starting with the Mystic. So, also worth noting, we're now looking at the page from the current version of the Cohors book. We know it says page XX. That's because it's not quite final. This is a glimpse behind the curtain, and we haven't put the page numbers on it yet, so no complaining about that. But don't worry, we will remember to do it. So, Mystics. This is I think it's an interesting place to start, because what you would normally expect is okay, Roman times, I guess I'm a Roman soldier or a gladiator or something. And then straight away we're banging with presumably this is Germanic, this is sort of very sort of spooky and occult.
So the Mystic is more sort of, as it says there, the gods have called you. It doesn't have to be Germanic. There are Roman types. We have specializations for all of them. So all the cultures have this sort of... There's a mystic in most cultures, whether it be like a shaman or a priest of some sort that has a closer connection to the gods than... Because in this time, the religion and spirituality and magic is all much closer than it is in Actung. Actung, it's very, there's not so much here. It's kind of, it's day-to-day almost.
Yeah.
So there's a bit for everyone if you want to be the archetype of a mystic, rather than just having to be pigeonholed to a particular culture. Say, you have to be a Germanic shaman to be it. You could be anything.
Well, it's like it's like what we were saying. Went a bit back to Suffolk there. It's like what we were saying about Dreams of Machines, isn't it? It's like it's the idea that this is the archetype, but it's not necessarily who you are to a T. It's like they said, you could be a Roman mystic, you could be a Germanic mystic, you could be a Celt mystic. It's kind of how that fits in and where you want to plonk that into your particular journey is very, very individual.
And importantly, for the kind of gameplay aspect as well, these are one of the archetypes that you can use spellcasting with.
Right. That's obviously very important. I'm terrible with spellcasters, so I'm gonna steer clear of the mystic. I'm no good as a glass cannon. Next, after the mystic, what might appear slightly similar at first glance, but the sage. Obviously, what can we hear about the sage? Who wants to take that one, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll give it a go, and then Sam can correct me. So sage is more sort of our, knowledge base, like an engineer, or in that sense, it's not so magical, but more knowledgeable, and that sort of aspect of things. I flounder totally straight away. I'm like the fish already. So Sam, you're probably better to take this one, I think. Yeah, yeah.
There are, in Cthulhu games, there are always those people who are like striving to learn and like uncover mysteries and stuff like that. And so the sage is just one of those kind of archetypes, like backgrounds, where that's really their expertise.
Yeah,
it's like maybe they're formally educated, or maybe they've squirreled away some like little tomes that they found from somewhere, or maybe there's some like papyri they've like managed to like steal away from Alexandria or something, and then they can also be kind of apothecaries, herbalists, and that kind of thing as well. So there's a little bit of kind of medicine in there involved, as well as the kind of crafting and engineering and academia side of things.
Yeah, so that knowledge which is maybe a little bit above the norm, but also can be potentially problematic when it comes to the dark outer realms of man was not meant to meddle, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, that's cool. The schema. A lot of these archetypes do begin with the letter S, which is going to be very interesting when it comes to putting the index together. But the schema. Now, instantly, I'm drawn to the schema. I don't know why. I just feel like in this kind of setting where you're out, either you're back in the home of Mother Rome. There's scheming going on all over the place there. Or if you're out in the wilds exploring Europe, then there's plenty of room to scheme and no one can contradict what you come up with because you're out on your own, making your own rules. So this one really, really appeals to me. But is there anything else we want to say about that? Is it self-explanatory?
Just that they have the highest bump in the coolest stat in the game, which is gravitas.
Tell me more.
Gravitas being like a new attribute for the game specifically, which is all about like your ability to influence people and like come to a Senate meeting or something, right? And like change the course of history with like a speech that you've made. Right. So like the schema's got like a +2 in that compared to everyone else.
Nice.
So that's cool about them, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're absolutely just like spies and like kind of dignitaries and servants who are like whispering in someone's ear, a la what's his face from Lord of the Rings. It's all like whisper.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to kind of corrupt you.
It sounds like with Gravitas as well, it almost could become that kind of, if it was like a heist movie, they could like be the mouth. They're the one that's like, this is how it's going to go down, everyone. This is my plan, and it's like, it's kind of that organizer and the person with the weight of personality that can just like make things happen. I'll pick that because that's nothing like me. So I'm going to have that one. That's me. Next up, the Scoundrel, and we have this very intimidating looking ragamuffin of a man with his knife out. Who wishes to tell us about the Scoundrel?
I'll do it again.
Go for it, Jamie. We believe. You got this.
I'm learning. So our Scoundrel is sort of your, I guess, archetypical sort of the person outside the law, sort of doesn't want to, whether it be a thief or someone that just doesn't enjoy, the government and wants to do their own thing. It gives people the sort of God, I'm so bad at this. They give their option to do their own thing, take advantage of what's going on, avoiding any kind of responsibilities, I guess, in many ways. Sort of stealthy, roguey as well.
So they could be, presumably they could be, obviously, like you said, outside of that system. They could also be in it, like, the kind of the soldier who doesn't necessarily finds the way not to pull their own weight and not get sent in on the front line and that kind of thing. It's like kind of, the self-preserving, I was going to say cheeky person, but that's...
Secret badass, right?
Secret badass. There you go.
This is my pick, just because I want to wield 2 daggers.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay. So we've got a... Did anyone want... We didn't... No one picked the Mystic or the Sage. Did anyone want to grab those?
I want to go Sage.
You want to go Sage? Why's that?
I like the idea of being slightly maddened by forbidden knowledge that I have picked up.
I mean, try and play against type, Danny.
I suppose. So how will we know it's different from you? But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Mystic would have been like a second choice for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mystic's pretty cool.
We still have 2 more to go, though. We have the Scout. Obviously, the Scout, this guy here with his Falcon, always a draw when your character comes with a pet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's always a draw. But yeah, this seems like this is what I remember when I was going through these. This stuck out to me as one of the ones where you realise how not obvious it is, but how much it makes sense when your initial first point, like I said, was, I guess I'm going to be a gladiator or something. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, we're out in the wilds of Europe, you know, so it's like there's a lot of empty space to explore out there, and you're going to need someone who knows the land or knows these countries, which the people, let's face it, invading might not know. So this is an interesting one to me. Is there anything that we can highlight as well as this from this? I'm running out of words as well now.
Sam, I'll let you go take this one.
Well, it's the ranger, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, tracking through the wilderness. You know, hot on survival and being able to like build a camp and stuff and survive out in the woods and in the forests of Europe. Learning like animal behavior and, you know, trying to judge the weather and stuff like that. So real skills I can imagine them needing that are like never talked about in like movies or anything.
Yeah. Well, you know, the average Roman column, they to paraphrase this, all they know is looking good in shiny armor. Come on, that's the thing. Good at straight line. It's obviously very disparaging against the Roman column. I know this is not true, but you know, yeah. Finally, we knew it was coming because I've made jokes about it twice now. The soldier. This is the one you're expecting. You know, you're expecting to be able to put on some shiny armor and, in this guy's case, an entire lion's head and just kick some ass. So what is there that makes this more than just like it's a fighter, you know?
I think it's the social status that it brings with it as well. And it can also bring with it some responsibilities too. So, you know, not only are you going to be kind of like brutish, it's not a strange Roman name now that I said it out loud.
He's got a lisp, it's fine.
Yeah. You know, you're not going to be like a brute necessarily or anything like that. It might be that you're a leader. Yeah. It might be that you're kind of a tactician. Or something like that. You know, Roman legionaries, you know, they were renowned for their kind of discipline, I think, you know, in battle.
Very learned, you know, family very important.
Exactly.
It's not a simple, just like, I am here to hit things. It's like, there's a lot more going on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've now been through the 6 archetypes. Jamie, you need to pick. So far, our team, we have a, I believe we have a sage, a schemer, and a scoundrel. What
soldier, hasn't it?
It's got you. You just want to be
soldier.
You want to be the default main character, don't you?
I want the
lion's
main.
This movie is about me. I'm the soldier. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. No, that's cool. That's cool. So next, I think what we will talk about is something coming up, which some people you may know about. You may have heard, like, you know, that there's been rumblings and discussions of Cohors minis. So what we're going to do is we're going to briefly talk about those, but we are also going to show you. So to start off, this whole section carries a caveat warning when it comes to pronunciations. This is Adelgar. I'm not entirely sure.
It's Adelgar.
If anyone can hear, my neighbour's starting to drill. I apologise, but they save it every year for ModCon. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So what are we going to be doing with these minis? So we've talked about minis coming. What are they for?
So the characters we're showing off today are part of our sort of band of heroes that we're going to follow through the campaigns and follow their adventures. You see it with the art as well. A lot of them, they are the main characters of the art as well, as you'll see on the player's guide. the ones we'll show today, that will show off those. So they're sort of our eye on what's going on in the world at the time. We have a second team, as we're calling it, which we'll show on the player's guide. But it's two ways we can show what's going on in different perspectives. One being sort of very military, and one not so much.
Right, yeah. So there's Lucius, the aforementioned lion-headed chap.
And like we were told before, Aldegar is a soldier. He's a berserker, but he is also a Germanic tribe leader. So it kind of goes back to what Sam was saying of he's not just I have two axes, I'm going to hit things.
Yeah,
he's in charge of his tribe. He is a leader, so it leads into that quite nicely.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to go through and talk about these characters briefly, or should we just show the minis and let them speak for themselves? I'm happy to do either.
We can show them off. There's the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter will show off some fiction regarding all the characters and their sort of story as they meet together, of what happens at Fort 15 comes under attack, and how the sort of band of this group ends up together, and then what leads them on from there.
Amazing. I really like the model for Sabine. I think she looks brilliant. Like the kind of big old sweeping. Yeah. I think aside from that, I guess what I'd like to know is, Danny, now you have the shoes on the other foot, I guess, is that the phrase? But as the person looking in now to Cohors, someone else says, what's your like? That's what I want to do. That's my interest in that.
I've always been a big Cthulhu fan from like when I first started role playing and stuff, and Actung really itched that kind of like war based Cthulhu game. But now, throwing it back into the Roman era and having that sort of like Legion aspect of it, where you can do some like more bigger pitched kind of combat scenarios, but then throw in all the Cthulhu gribblies. Like I already have ideas kind of turning in my brain where I just want to write some little scenarios and not torture my friends, but put them through the ringer, as it were, with like a big Legion battle. But then there's like that one little objective they need to get through.
Definitely
in there, that one person they need to protect during some big like crazy fight.
Find that personal thing in the middle of that giant scope.
And like that scene at the beginning of Gladiator, where you've got the Roman Legion all lined up against the forest with all the.
I have thought about that film about 3 times while we've been talking. I've just been like, I want to watch Gladiator again.
Imagine that, like Shoggoths and tentacle-headed people coming out of the forest.
Definitely.
That's what I want.
Okay. Can I be in your Cohors game, please? That sounds fun. Cool. I think then what we'll do is, bless you, we will draw a line there, and it feels odd to be doing this before we've even started streaming, but thank you for coming to ModCon this year. It's been lovely to see you all. I'm sure I've seen some regular faces and people like that, and it's been brilliant. Make sure you do all the usual things, which includes signing up, following, clicking, linking. That's all very much appreciated. All, as with all previous ModCons, all of the subs and any tips and bits and whatever you've donated, they all go to a charity we work closely with called Roll vs Evil. You can find out about them by going to rollversusevil.com. So if you have done a bit or something like that, thank you very much. That's very cool. Otherwise, it's just lovely to have you here. So that's it really. I know this is in the past, but I suppose current present Steve at time of broadcast is probably going to go to bed now. So, but
another day,
exactly. So, thanks so much for coming, and we will see you all very, very soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.